Rebecca Carner, Biofield tuner, and today we are going to tap into collective connection, and I will describe what I mean by that in just a moment. But first, I'd really like to truly drop immediately into sound and immediately into a breathed grounding together. Everybody, let's start with the exhale. Really let go of everything and start on empty. And then inhale fully and broadly and gently. And just be with your breath. Wow. It's interesting. There was a wave of heat when I asked everyone just even to exhale. We're all holding a lot. These videos are always appropriate no matter when you happen upon them. But as it turns out, there is a lot of tumultuousness happening on the day that I am streaming this live. And it's inescapable, right? It's the sense of it and the knowing of it in our bodies that things are intense, uncertain, shifting, right? We all know it just as surely as the animals in nature know when a storm front is coming. So let's breathe into the here and now. Ooh. Inhale, exhale. And if you want to make a little noise on the exhale, a sigh or a hum, or make a formation in your mouth to really strengthen your sensation of the release. It's really okay to put it all down, if even just for a breath. Great. The fork feels very sort of tentative and a little bit thready. It's like with all of what's going on and all that there is to do and the pace of life, there is also a sense of exhaustion. And I find that I feel more exhausted when I'm holding and sort of toting around more than what is necessary. Wow, the heat in the field, you guys. Ooh, okay, I don't know how much. Okay, whether the tumultuousness is resonating, the exhaustion is resonating, overwhelm, uncertainty, overwhelmingness, all of the things. Yeah, we're all in it together, and that is truly what today's topic is about, and I'll get to that in just a second. But just even being together in this moment and these peels of heat coming off. Wow, I'm even having emotion come up, like I want to cry. Wow, you guys, you're doing great. If y'all are here, if you're logging on, if you found this 3 months or 3 years after the fact, you're doing great and everything's okay. Hi, friends. Hi. Okay. Right, and I'm really going to anchor us. Because if you're watching this video, we're all riding the rock, right? We're all little tiny beings on planet Earth all at the same time, moving cyclically through the galaxy. If there's one thing that's 100% true, it's that. Okay, let's start there. And because we are inhabitants, great, of Earth, again, in keeping with today's topic, let's really drop into our elemental and core connection with the core of the Earth. The voltage, right, the electrical charge that is held by in our heart and used to run all the systems of our body can be measured. And there is actually a measurable low grouse exchange, electrical exchange, when a human animal puts their bare feet on the ground. And somewhere all the way down the line from that is in fact the spinning core of the earth. And we are in synergistic, symbiotic relationship with that at all times. Great, great, great. Okay, great. Let's start there. So today's theme is collective connection. The sense of people not being alone in this, in their life experience, in their periods of transition, the idea of a collective amassing of energies that will provide the wave of impetus for any measure of change, right? This is a spiritual idea. This is also sort of a scientific, right? The tipping point. I don't know. I can't think of, I mean, I think there's tipping points in economics. There's tipping points in sociology. There's tipping points in evolutionary biology. Like, I think there's tipping points referenced in nearly all disciplines. And wow, you guys, the waves of heat. Everything's okay. Even if it's like really not okay, it's still okay and it's still in divine order. Focus on what you can do. Focus on being in yourself and grounded and centered in yourself. Connect intentionally with people who you admire, who you think are cultivating coherency, coherent action in your community or or nationally or globally, right? Connect. What is it? Because it's not whether you think something's right or wrong or good or bad. It's if it feels spot on, right? If you're around someone and your central nervous system feels groovy, then that's the ticket, right? I find that in these collective tunings, particularly when I'm not getting extemporaneous feedback, the words are really dodgy and touchy because they have been overused and misconstrued. And all things like if it feels good, it's like, well, does that mean holistically feeling good, or does that mean escapism? distraction, feel good, right? It's like you can't, it's so hard to describe the quality because the words get very shallow and sloppy really quickly. I was in a conversation recently and somebody was describing traveling to another country, and he was talking about the sensation of going down the escalator to catch a subway train, and he suddenly had the urge to run to catch the train, even though he was a tourist in that moment, right? He wasn't in rush hour traffic. And I commented, well, of course you did, because the minute that you enter the subway system anywhere, it has the residue, right? It has the collective field of people rushing to get some kind of where on time. That's the nature of that whole environment. And so you can't not be affected by it. And it doesn't matter if in that moment you aren't a commuter. Hundreds of thousands of commuters are there, sometimes on the daily, depending on what city you're in. So of course the whole atmosphere is saturated with that vibe, with that frequency. Wow. Hot, 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 hot. I feel it. I feel it. So the the collective fields that are being generated all the time, all over the place on this earth, whether we really realize it or not, they are affecting our field, and we are also informing that field. So yes, there we go. There it is. Right. And therein lies our infinite agency, and therein lies, lies our infinite empowerment, right? It's not power over. As an individual field, there is no way that just the one of us is going to overpower the collective field. But as individuals, we can inform and uplink our internal coherent intention, coherent thoughts, words, deeds, right? And in so doing, we do then shift the tide. And in that way, that's not going to be clickbait on any of your media, and that's not going to be televised, friends. It's not. But it's true, and we can tap into it. I am literally dripping with sweat. It is in the field. Everybody's tension. You are not alone. You have not been abandoned. You wanting good things for yourself and for those that you love. You looking at global happenings and feeling deep concern, if not outright despair. This is legit. You are not alone in that. And all is not lost. All is not lost at any point. In fact, in the same conversation that I just referenced, like we both marveled at what a truly spectacularly potential filled time we're allowed to be alive in. This is also true. It's it's part of it, right? Having things look disheveled is part of change. For something to deconstruct prior to reconstruction, it always gets messy. And yep, It's messy. Things, things be messy, y'all. Yeah, I'm here too. Yeah, not everything in my life is super tidy, friends. Yeah, I hear ya. I hear ya. uh, yeah. Look for those who you admire, respect, connect, consume the content of, relate to people that you'd like to emulate because they're awesome, not because they're richer than you or more nipped and tucked than you or seem to be winning, right? That's not the ticket. Mm-mm. It's about nervous system resonance, nervous system comfort, because that's what you can trust, not all this sort of spin factor. That's really hard to trust. And then that leads us to not trusting ourselves, right? Yeah, exactly. And the more we trust ourselves, then when we uplink and connect to the collective, we're uploading this sense of trust. At least I recently heard in a meditation that true stability is not rigidity and it's not stagnant, right? It's not still. Stability is, in fact, sort of moving, resilient adaptability. Yeah, wow, yeah, let's put some frequencies on that. Stability is the knowing that you can ongoingly be resiliently and appropriately adaptable. That is what is stable. Like if you've ever watched a toddler learn to walk, you realize how many micro adjustments balance actually constantly is. You're not just like upright, like a golf tee stuck in the ground and totally static and still. As humans walking, being bipeds, that we are not golf tees, right? We are constantly maneuvering and balancing and stabilizing and shifting. We are constantly dancing, just so microscopically, right, that we look like we're just standing still. And so, really, and there is just a lot of really loud signaling out in the ether and out in the collective that's making us feel pretty pitched and swayed from side to side. And even at that, there is a collective field right now humming, kind of like a, like an electromagnetic orb, not like it is an electromagnetic orb um, that has coherent signaling and it's growing. And if you're watching this, you are almost undoubtedly part of that amassing, and it is strengthening. And then all of what it will be, this this collective coherent field, what it is prompting is exciting, and it is here, and it is also emerging moreover and moreover and moreover, minute by minute, day by day. The hype is happening, but don't believe it. Don't believe it all. Because the other, this collective coherency, is also happening. But by its very nature, it's not going to be transmitted with the same clanging decibels as the noise and as the static. When you're in a really perfectly acoustic room, the sound on the stereo system does not have to be loud to reverberate and really fill the room, right? Whereas when you have crap speakers, you have to turn them up really loud, but it distort, it's hard to enjoy the music, right? It doesn't sound good. And that's the same thing. A lot of what we're seeing and hearing doesn't sound and it doesn't look good. And a lot of it isn't good. Um, but there is a surround sound of beauty and coherence that if you quieten the noise and tap in with your internal speaker, you can pick up the signal. Yes, yes, that is true. That is true. There is a background, coherent, reverberant signal that if you choose to quieten the noise and tune into your internal speaker, you will hear it. It is there. Yes. Yes, I can feel it's okay. So, first of all, the temperature has totally changed. I am no longer sweating. And the tingle of confirmation that is going up the back of my spine, like literally on the strike of that fork, I think 4 people either heard it in that moment, in that instant, or by me saying those words that clearly, they realized that what they had tapped into previously, they just got the validation that they needed. Yeah, yes, yes, that. Yes, yes. You're not cuckoo. You're not wrong. And there are millions of us that are uplinking to that source point every instant of every day, many, many times a day, all over the world. Millions of us, millions of us. Yeah, yes, yes. How's that for collective connection? How's that for collective connection? All right. Because I like to keep these under 30 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and let's really, really drop that in. Here, I'll go back to the 144. Let's really land that. You are one of millions who are connecting to and uploading to and strengthening a coherent collective connection field. Never doubt it. It's true, it's true, it's true. Yes, yes. Hmm. Hmm. The fork is just, it feels like putting your hand on a really fat cat's belly while it's purring. It's like, yes. Let's drop that in one more time. That is just good. That is good medicine. Yes, friends. Yes, yes, yes. Mm, mm, mm. Right on. Right on. Right on. I'm going to use this 528. I'll strike it a couple of times and let's really send just the lightest, brightest internal song that we can think. Let's send that up together, right? Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. I'll strike one more time. Nice. So I'll end with this for anybody who watches this far into the video. I'm filming this on April 9th, I think it is. On April 16th, I am having a Zoom community biofield tuning, and it's open to the public. It is happening on Zoom in the ether. If you've watched this far, and if it's about cultivating deep trust on your inner voice and your sort of inner centeredness, if you should want to do that and can't afford to participate, if you go to my website, rebeccacarner.com, and email me that you saw the end of this video, I'll send you the link for free. Because you know what? We're all in this together, friends. It's my joy to be here. Thanks for joining me. Best.